once you have round 4 done, you would repeat on, continue on with all of this through rounds 5 and 13, where you repeat rounds 2 and 4 a total of 3 more times, then you fasten off. I'm going to show you what that will look like right here. I'm going to set this aside. So I went ahead and did all 3 more times, so all of my repeats, and this is the top of my foot. So I have my nice 4 front post double crochets right there. There's my back post double crochet, kind of creating that ridge right there. You can see it's back there in the inside. My front post, my back post, and then my cable stitches. They look like really great twisted stitches right there. Can you see that? And then they carry on. If I were to flip this over, just like it was the heel of my sock, as I had mentioned before, I have all of these nice post stitches. Now, all of my chain 2s that did not count as a stitch, they sort of go in the gutter right there. Can you see that? They just kind of disappear as this lays down flat. If I were to flip it inside out, the inside, you guys, looks really neat, right? Because you have these nice ridges right here. Those are all of the tops of the stitches because we worked around the post. So all the tops of the stitches are on the inside of the actual piece, and that would be the top of the foot. So that's all of those stitches. Isn't that cool? I think that looks really neat. Okay, go ahead and get to this point in your stocking, and then we will jump in and I will show you how to do the heel, and we'll move on and work into the leg and then finally the cuff. Okay, so you have a toe and a foot. It's time to create the heel. Let's get started. Now, if you want to follow along in the pattern, you can use the same color for your heel as you used for the toe, but I'm going to change it up and I'm going to make a green heel because I just want to make it a little bit different. So the first part of the instructions say that we are going to skip 31 stitches and join and draw up a loop in our heel color in the next stitch. So if I count all the way around, starting at our joint, or where we finished off right here, 31 stitches is actually that first stitch of the 11 front post double crochets. Okay, so I'm going to join right there, and I went ahead and I marked it. And then I read on in the pattern, and it said when you join and add your yarn, we're going to single crochet in that stitch and in the next 10 stitches to this joining spot. And then we're going to go ahead and do them into the next 10 stitches. So that makes it all the way over here to this point. So I've went ahead and I've marked my points. You don't have to do that, but I just find it easier to have a know what I'm doing ahead of time so I can make sure I'm doing everything correctly. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start over here where it tells me to, and in this 31st stitch here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join my new color. So I'm going to go ahead and join with my slip stitch like I normally do, and I'm going to chain 1. Now it says to single crochet in the same stitch, so I'm going to go ahead and do my single crochet, and I'm not doing it around the post or anything like that. You notice it's just a single crochet, and I'm going to go ahead and do it in the next 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I did it in my 10 stitches, and then it says to the joining of the last round of the foot, and that's exactly where I am. That's the join for the last round of the foot. Single crochet in the same stitch as the joining. So the same stitch as the joining, which is right here. And then the next 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. See how that worked out? Perfect. So we have this really nice base for our heel. Okay, now it says leave the remaining 20 stitches unworked. So we're going to leave all of these that are at the top of the foot unworked. We aren't going to worry about those. And we're going to do rows 2 through 10. So 2 through 10 is to chain 1 and turn. So we're actually turning our work this time. I'm going to tuck my ends in so they're out of the way for me. and it says to do a single crochet 2 together. So to do that, I'm going to go into the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over and draw through all 3. So I've single crochet 2 together and then single crochet into each stitch to the last 2 stitches. So what I'm doing is I'm working a decrease. I'm going to begin doing short rows, and that's how I'm going to create this heel. I'm doing a short row heel. It's really convenient, really easy, and not difficult at all. And there's many different ways to do short row heels, but I love the way that Jessie Rae wrote this pattern out to do this heel, because it doesn't have to be too extravagant, too difficult, because it's just a stocking. It's not like it's a sock or anything like that that we have to wear. Not saying that you cannot use these short rows on a sock itself. You absolutely can. It's just one of those things that I find it really nice the way she wrote out the pattern. So I'm almost here to the last 2 single crochets. Once I'm there, I can do my single crochet 2 together. So I can see here I have 2 single crochets. So I'm going to do pull up a loop, go to the next one, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. And then it says to chain 1 and turn. So I'm going to do that back and forth through row 10. So that was row 2. So I'm going to turn and I would go on to row 3. So that would be, go ahead and do my single crochet 2 together, right, like this, and then to the end. Go ahead, finish rows 2 through 10 for the heel, and join me back here. I'll get you working through rows 11 through 19, and then we will fasten off and jump into the leg, okay? You finished row 10, let's go in and do row 11 through 19. So you've completed row 10 and you should have something that looks like this. It's kind of like a triangle, sort of, and you're left with 4 stitches right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do row 11. So we're going to do our chain 1 and turn. So I've chain 1 and I've turned, and I'm going to go ahead and do 2 single crochets in the first stitch. So where before I was doing decreases, now I'm going to do increases. So I've done 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and I'm going to do a single crochet into each stitch to the last stitch. So I'm here at the last stitch, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets in this stitch. See that? I'm going to repeat doing this, increasing 2 stitches at these 2 points until I get up to 22 stitches. Once you get up to 22 stitches, go ahead and finish off your work and join me back here, and I'll get you started on the leg. All right, so you finished the heel of your stocking and it's time to jump in and begin the leg. So let's look down here and see how we're going to do that. If you look down here, you can see what I've got so far. I've got the toe of my sock, the body of my sock, or the foot. So this is the top of my foot. And then if I were to flip it over, that's the bottom of my foot, my heel, or going to my heel, and the green is my heel. And it kind of looks like a fishtail, right? But what's going to happen is, as this edge is sewn to this edge at the finish, it will create a really nice cup of the heel. And that's what I said, where I really like the way Jessie wrote this pattern like that. So what's going to happen now is we're going to join our yarn at the 12th stitch from the last row we did on the heel. And we're going to do half double crochets all the way to the end here and into the stitch that we joined with originally right here at the bottom for this part of the heel. And then we will work in pattern all the way across to the next section, and then we'll continue on finishing up the row right there. So what's really great is as we worked the foot right here, we began to notice that there is a rhythm, a pattern, right? You don't really have to look at the stitches, you can see, or you don't have to look at the pattern, you can look at the stitches and know what they are. And we're gonna find that that's the case also as we're going back to the foot. As I rotate this up, and I go ahead and I count 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to go ahead and using the same color that I used on the foot. You don't have to. You could totally change colors if you want to at this point, but I think it's best to use the same color, and that's what Jessie recommends as well. I'm going to join my yarn and do a chain 2. Now at this part of the pattern, it says that this chain 2 does count as a stitch for this part of the heel only, or not the heel, but this part, this round. How about that, for this round only? So I'm going to mark that. having trouble getting that in there. So I don't want it to fall out. Okay, so I've marked that, and I'm gonna do a half double crochet in the next 10 stitches. So I'm gonna get all the way to the end here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then it states that it wants me to go ahead and working in the half double crochet, work a half double crochet in the same stitch as the last stitch of the first row of the heel. So meaning right here, this was the first stitch of the heel. So I'm gonna work a half double crochet right there into that same stitch. And that's what's really gonna connect this round together. And then it says to go ahead and do a back post around the next stitch, which is exactly what it looks like, right? So remember when I talked about reading your stitches, this is where it is. So we've done a back post. We're gonna do a front post. And then I'm gonna do a back post. And it's time for my cable. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my cable. There's the first section and the second section. And I do my back post. My front post. You really start to know this pattern really well as you get going along. Did you guys find that the case? Get myself some more yarn. And then I'm going to do 4 front post. Back post, front post, back post, cable, I know I'm being quiet, but I feel like you guys are working along with me. You don't need me to talk too much, right? Back post, front post, back post, and we are back to our join here. So what we've done here now is we're going to half double crochet into the same stitch as our stitch right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do my half double crochet, and then it says we're going to, and that would the first row of the heel, and then we're going to half double crochet in the first 11 stitches of the heel. So we're going to go up the heel. So 1, I'm going down the wrong way. Oh, there we are. All right, so I've done it in my heel, and I've got to come over here and grab this. I'm sorry. I started to go along the edge there. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to go into the 11 stitches of this one, guys. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm right here. Once you have double crochet into that stitch, you've got to grab the other end of the heel over here, and we're going to begin working the next half double crochets into this section. So it's the other half of the heel we just finished. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we're going to join with the slip stitch to that stitch we have marked. Remember, it's easier for me to get into it when I unmark it, so I'm going to go into that stitch and join with the slip stitch because that counted as a stitch. And what you'll notice is that you're back to 44 stitches. Okay, so we have 44 stitches. For round 2, what we need to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to begin with the chain 2. Now the chain 2 for this round does not count as a stitch. Remember, it only counted on that last round. Once we've done the chain 2, the instructions state it wants us to do a front post double crochet around the chain 2 from the previous round. This is really similar to what we did when we started working the foot onto the toe, right? So we just did a front post double crochet, and then we're supposed to do a front post double crochet around the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3. So now we have to do a back post double crochet, and then a cable over the next 2 stitches. So we have to skip this one, come to the next, and do a cable, and then come back over here to this one and do a cable. And now we're going to do a back post around the next stitch. So I make sure that I'm not working into any of the stitches I've already worked into. I'm going to go and do a back post, and then do a front post around the next 4 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 will bring me all the way over here to where I am beginning to work on the foot again. And I will follow in pattern. So essentially I'll be doing exactly what the foot pattern is already telling me to do if I read my stitches. So I go to the back, to the front, to the back, and then I have to cable. So what's really great here, what we're learning is that as you begin to work the leg of the pattern, it's no longer that you just have front post double crochets along the back of the leg. You're actually doing full stitches, okay? This is just like you would do if you were working a actual sock. You would do something that was an all-around pattern around the leg of the stocking. Here I am. I just finished the top of my foot in pattern just like I normally would, and it's time for me to go ahead and do my 4 front post double crochets, which is what the last 4 stitches are in the brackets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've gone ahead and done that, and now it's time for me to do a back post double crochet. And I'm going to do a cable over the next 2 stitches. So there's 1 and 2. And then I'm going to do a back post double crochet, making sure that I don't accidentally go into the same post that I completed my cables in. So I've done my back post, and I'm going to do a front post around the next 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And remembering that that chain 2 does not count as a stitch, I will join with the slip stitch to the top of my very first front post double crochet. So right here it says in the instructions, note, do not work into or around the beginning chain 2 throughout rounds 3 through 26 of the leg. That's what I just told you, so make sure you don't do that. You can see here as I extend my loop up, what you've done is you've created a new pattern throughout the leg, correct? So we are maintaining our stitch pattern from the top of the foot, and there we are creating a new pattern for the back of the leg. So our full leg pattern will be different. It'll be the same stitch pattern going up the front, and then we have front post, a back post, a cable, a back post, and then we have really cool front post again, back post, cable, and a back post, and then front post. So when you carry on with round 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth, as you're reading the instructions, it's essentially maintaining this pattern. So you're going to maintain this pattern throughout until you get to round 27. When you get to round 27, you're going to complete the entire leg by doing a round of half double crochets and doing some chains to create a loop so that you'll be able to hang your stocking at your mantle, correct? Go ahead and finish through round 27 and join me back here. I'm going to get you started on the cuff and how to use the fur yarn. I want to note that in the first part of the instructions, I said that you only needed your eye hook, which is a lie. You're going to need a bigger hook also for the fur yarn. So please make sure that you have a large hook for that as well. I do believe that she recommended a size M, which is a size 13, US 13 for this fur yarn. And we're going to add that to the top of our leg. Okay. So get some crocheting done and join me back here for the cuff. All right, so you have your stocking complete. Look down here. I'm going to show you how you add the fur trim to the top of your stocking. Even though I don't have a full stocking here, I'm going to show you how to do it, okay? Now, as you guys know, I am on location, and of course it would be that I forget my size M crochet hook. So I am using my US size 10.5. So it's a little bit smaller than the 13 that is suggested, but we're gonna make do with it, okay? So I have ripped back all the way to where I'm just looking at the foot of my stocking because it's just the same number of stitches that we've had all along, and I wanna just show you how this is gonna work. We have the lovely boutique fur yarn right here, and if you take the label off, this is one of those balls that you want to not pull from the inside. You just want to find the tail on the outside, and you're going to use that. Now, it's very difficult to see the stitches as you're working along, so you really just kind of have to go by feel, and it's only one round. It's not that difficult at all, okay? Now, with the right side facing you, what you're going to do is you're going to join the yarn with a slip stitch. So I'm just going to pick a point back here, and I'm going to go in, and I'm going to yarn over it, and I know it's hard to see, you guys. I know that. When you yarn over, there is a seam in the eyelash right there, and you're going to use your hook to go around that seam. Can you see that right there? And that is what you're going to pull up and through. So once you've done that, you're going to chain 3. You just have to kind of go by feel. 1, 2, 3. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to skip the next stitch. So we're going to skip the next stitch and work a double crochet in the next one. So once again, going by feel, we yarn over our hook, skip one, go into the next one, yarn over our hook, pull up a loop, and it's hard to see. I know you can't tell that I have 3 loops on there, but I do. Yarn over and draw through 2 of them, and I messed up. See, I couldn't get through one of them, so I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna yarn over, skip a stitch, go into the next one, yarn over, pull up a loop. So I have 3 on there. I'm gonna yarn over, draw through 2, there we go, yarn over, and draw through 2. Now this yarn is very, very, very furry. They picked a really great name for it. So once again, the biggest thing about this yarn is you've got to go by feel. So we're going to skip a stitch, go into the next one because we're repeating this. So as I'm working along, I'm relying on the seam of the yarn right here and my hook, just relying on being able to grab that seam to work the stitches. So I'm yarning over, going into the stitch on my stocking, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarn over and draw through 2, yarn over and draw through 2. As you work that all the way around, it's really thick and bulky. You go ahead and you finish off your work, and with this yarn, it's really easy to weave in your tail. I'm going to show you how to do that. Because the yarn is so thick, you really don't have to worry too much about weaving in ends with a tapestry needle. We could actually, I'm going to finish this off right here. We can actually just take our tail and I'm just poking my hook in right there. No specific place or anything. I'm just poking it in, grabbing my yarn, the tail, and pulling it through. And then maybe I do it on this side. I poke it this way and grab the yarn and pull it through. Like I'm just kind of weaving it back and forth because this isn't anything I'm going to wear. Obviously, it's just getting put up on the shelf. You can't tell that I'm just weaving the tails through. I've went this direction for a little bit. Maybe I come back the opposite way to make sure it doesn't come undone. And I'm just pulling the tail through, just like before. So I'm putting my hook in, grabbing it, and pulling it through. Just like that. So it becomes really easy just to weave it in that way. You don't have to worry too much about it, okay? All right, now you've got a really super cute crochet stocking that uses some fantastic cabling and post stitches and a really fun furry cuff. Really easy to do, and it's super fast. Like the cuff just really makes it right, and it takes maybe 2 minutes to get around. Just remember, rely on the feel of the seam as you're pulling through with your hook, and that'll make things a lot easier. You're not going to be able to see the actual stitches. You just have to do it by feel. Once you do that, you are ready to hang this up at your mantle and stuff it full of all your fun stuff, and hopefully it's not coal. And Santa Claus will come to your house and give you some fun Susan Bates implements and Red Heart yarn. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and you will hit subscribe so you know whenever I put out a new video. And if you did like it, please give it 2 thumbs up so that Red Heart knows that you enjoyed the video, and YouTube knows you enjoyed the video, and I know you enjoyed the video. I am Marley Bird for redheart.com. I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye-bye. I really hope you enjoyed making this owl baby hat, and you will run out, grab your yarn and hook, and get started on your very own. If you enjoyed